am ready to put you on stream whenever you are ready.
I am ready.
Alright, then 3, 2, 1.
Okay, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Densha Lightning Stage. We're gonna have some fun, so I will give a countdown to time very shortly. It just begins as soon as the timer for the first level counts down. So I'll just get a countdown to that very shortly. And then I will explain what this game is, because you all probably have a few questions. I'll give a second. Alright.
Second?
So sorry, you're talking to me?
No.
Alright, sorry. Okay. So time will start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go!
Good luck,
Okay,
son.
ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Densha D Lightning Stage. To explain this game very briefly, I'm going to perform one action in third person. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be drifting trains for the next 20 minutes. And this will be fantastic. So, to explain, there is a manga and anime series in Japan known as Initial D, where people drive cars very fast, mostly sideways, to Eurobeat music. This is the same, but replace cars with trains. So yeah, there's a parody manga called Densha D Lightning Stage, where Densha D, where it's literally just the Initial D story, but you've replaced all of the cars with trains. This is one of 4 current games that exist. This is Lightning Stage. It covers the first 4 chapters of the manga. And just to explain the controls very briefly, there's not too much we can actually do to impact. We have, like, accelerating, we have a brake, we have an emergency brake, and we have left and right drifting. So outside of that, we are just going to be just doing our best when it comes to driving, taking the best corners we can at high enough speeds, and getting the story segments correct. So here we're going to be braking because there's a corner coming up. I'm turning to this side of the road. There we go. So this first chapter, there's not too much to comment on. We're just going to be going pretty fast. And trying to get past this guy. So in terms of the race, and like us compared to him, it's fairly scripted in terms of, we're never going to be significantly further ahead than him, and he's never really going to be significantly further ahead than ahead of us, unless, I screw up, which, shouldn't happen. So there are going to be a few things we're going to be doing throughout the game, which are solely for story purposes only, and we need to do for the story to actually progress. But I'll explain those a bit more when we actually come to them. So yeah, as I mentioned before, this is probably the most vanilla stage there is. There's not too much to comment on this one. For the manga, it's literally this is just your introduction to what train racing is, and the fact that this guy is capable of the multi-track drift. In terms of this category, it does say any percent glitchless, and I understand that glitchless is a bit of a meme in terms of that expression in the speedrunning community. What glitchless refers to is a single trick where your speed in this game is not capped unless you're holding down the accelerator. So by embedding in the opponent's train at the beginning of the race, or just, well, I guess wherever, you can gain an incredible amount of speed from the opponent bumping you forwards, and as long as you don't hold down the accelerator, you will go incredibly quickly. Glitchless means we're not going to be doing that. Personally, I prefer it because it means that, the whole idea is it's these incredibly stressful train races, and this keeps it in the spirit of things, this is still going to be an incredibly stressful run for me. As I mentioned, not too much to commentate on this first level, so we're just going to let this go. The music in this game is pretty fantastic, so even in these times of a bit of a lull where there's not too much to talk about, we still have plenty to listen to. So you might be wondering some things like, why don't we just multi-track for the entire course? And that's because at different times in the stage, the two tracks will diverge from each other. And in the event you are doing a multi-track drift, when the tracks diverge, you will completely derail and you will need to start from the beginning of the stage. Which is obviously something we're wanting to avoid. So we're just coming up to the end of chapter 1 here. We're just going to be looking out for tracks coming on our left and right, because that will be the station. So yeah, here we go. So there's a cutscene that's going to be coming up. Usually we skip, but I feel like you guys might enjoy this one. So I'm just going to let the cutscene play as normal. I'm not going to bother trying to skip it. Ladies and gentlemen, can we see some Nani in the chat? And the multi-track drift. So that's just kind of like the reference to that one panel that we've all seen. So that's stage 1, that was Keisuke. Next is Nakazawa. So the story behind this guy is he has a brand new train. I think it's like the 7000 series or something, like we're rocking the 2000 series. So he's going to be going very quickly. And he's a very like power-hungry personality, this driver. So his whole thing is he's typically like all on the power or all off. So as a result, he is going to be going a lot faster than we are, because his train is just significantly more powerful than what we have to deal with. So we're just going to be doing our best to keep up with him. So yeah, in terms of the layout, there are very few actual like track layouts in this game, and we're going to be seeing even less in this category because there's a few chapters we're just going to be skipping because they're not vital to actually completing the game. Like I said, we're just going to be aiming to keep up with him as best we can. This is very similar to the first stage, so there's not too much to watch out for. As I mentioned, we're just trying to keep up. In these downhill segments, it's pretty easy. We're just going to be tailgating him. Unfortunately, there's no real way we can overtake him just yet, so we're just going to be sticking behind, braking when he slows down, and accelerating to catch up when he's going fast. Be slowing down a bit here for this corner. So one thing that's worth noting is because of that speed cap I mentioned previously that only applies when you're holding down the accelerator, we are going to abuse that, but just not through the usual trick that's mentioned. So for downhill segments, we are going to be releasing the... Well, for very steep downhill segments, we're going to be releasing the accelerator to go pretty fast. And in the event... I was talking about something and then I forgot what I was saying. What was I saying? I was saying something. Never mind. Yeah, there's going to be some times where we're just not holding down the accelerator because it just makes us go a bit faster. Like here, for example. There we go. And that's what I was going to mention. So you'll see along the top, we have 8 carts to our train. Green represents the fact that it's just standard, it's just kind of there. Blue means that it's drifting across 2 tracks. Yellow means that it is like currently in the middle of like dislocating, and red means a complete derail. So as you see there, he's like, he's way too heavy-handed on the brakes and such. So he gives us a huge opportunity to catch up there. He's like, how the 2000 series? How is it catching? So here comes a very important bit of the run. We do need to catch up with him here, because there's, I believe, 2 parts where you can end this level. Sorry, 3 ways you can end this level. the early way, the normal way, or the late way. So we're going to be getting we're going to try get the early way. Essentially, by catching up with him, like by being even with him essentially, during 2 different segments you can end the race early, or you can go all the way to the station. Going all the way to the station is pretty slow, so we're not going to do that. But it does mean we need perfect braking through here. So I'll explain how cutscenes work very briefly. Oh no, okay, we derailed. We're going to need to do some catching up. Oh, self-propelled, okay. I don't know how we got self-propelled in there, but that wasn't meant to happen. We're going to try that again real quick. Oh crap, I didn't even know you could self... Okay, that's a thing. I should have braked more there, apparently. So in which case, we're going to need to do a lot of catching up, because that's about maybe a 4-minute time loss. Should still be good. We might be a bit over. Because usually that does... I've never seen a self-propel on a corner before. I'm going to need to ask some people how what was going on there, because... I've seen derails on a corner before. I've never seen a self-propel impossibility on a corner. Yeah, we're going to just drive fast. We're going to try and make up for that time. At least we have some good music here that's going. Slowing down here for this corner. There we go. So yeah, generally self-propelled impossibility means you have completely just derailed. Generally, even if your front car derails, you can still recover, and it will just put you back on the rail after a short period of time. However, apparently, I guess the game must have thought that we were going a lot faster than we were, or something. Like I said, I'm not entirely sure what caused the self-propelled there. In which case, we're just going to need to do some catching up, so just going as fast as we can to make up for this lost time. Rather unfortunate, but oh well. As I mentioned before, there's a manga for this. Unfortunately, only the first 2 chapters have been translated into English. However, there is up to, I think, like chapter 30 or 40 or something that's been written. That's all in Japanese still. And in terms of these games, there are a total of 4 games at the moment, with a 5th game coming soon, I believe. So we should be really excited for that. These games need a lot of love and need some attention as well, because they're quite fantastic. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so this is going to be us approaching the end of the stage again. I'm going to be a lot more careful on the brakes this time around, just so we don't get that same thing again, because that would be... if we get that again, I do have a safety state save, which was mainly in case the game crashed. Or if for some strange reason we get that again, I'll just load the safety save. So yeah, I'm going to be way heavy-handed on the brake here. Yeah, that was probably heavy-handed enough to us not to get the bit here. Yeah, okay, so we didn't get early Nakazato, so we're going to try get the mid one. Yeah, I was just a bit too heavy-handed on the brake there. Just because, you know, don't want another instance like that of just getting the self-propelled impossibility. So the next one option we have for catching up with them is when there's going to be an upcoming bridge soon. So we should be able to overtake him at the end of a long bridge. Which should be here. Okay, there we go. So, like I said, you get this kind of cutscene a bit earlier on if you catch up after that corner. So there's a full cutscene about how his engine breaks, but we can just quit out there to skip that cutscene. Okay, chapter 3, Shingo. Shingo is a bit of a pain. So, this guy is an asshole, basically. That's kind of his character. So, from what I've been told, this emulates a scene in the original Initial D where they're racing, but like the gimmick is that they have their hands, like one hand tied to the wheel. Which makes, like, you know, of course that would make steering incredibly difficult. And this race is basically supposed to emulate that a little bit. So here he's laid out some traps, like, you know, there was just some garbage on the road. And upcoming here is going to be some explosives, which is going to cause our train to go flying. And then a building that he's just put in the way. And then some people we're driving through, and, you know, this isn't going the way these people's days had probably hoped. Yeah, the gum tape deathmatch. So we're going to be drifting as much as we can when on road, because you go off rails very easily on road. As in, unless you're going about maybe 120 around the corner, you will derail. Like, even if it's just a tiny corner, like the one we're coming up to here. So this is like one of the most technical stages I find, especially in the glitchless category. Because we don't need to do too much to keep up with him here, and there is a very long, like large downhill segment much later in the stage, which is going to allow us to catch up even if we do fall behind here. However, when we get to that bottom at the downhill segment, I got to be very focused on my brakes and acceleration to ensure we don't derail. Because the end of the stage is very polarizing. Like, you either definitely get it and, like, you know, you're far ahead, or you don't get it and you've just completely lost the race. So until then, we're just going to be going as fast as we can to try just, you know, go fast, of course. So we're abusing the fact that well, normally when all of your carts derail, like, even if it's not the first one, you do slow down significantly. However, by not holding down the accelerator, we will, like, you know, maintain some of our speed still. See, we're still going 160. Normally, derailing all your carts would put you down to like 100 kilometers an hour. So, we're going to continue to go pretty fast. There's a bit I need to watch out for here. I think it's after this corner. There should be a left turn corner coming up here where I need to go off the multi-drift. Yep, so there's an entrance of the tracks, like ever so slightly diverging from each other. So there's going to be not much until this large downhill segment, and then it'll be just me focusing for a short bit. So the downhill segment is just coming up now, and you'll see our speedometer just go shooting around. So we need to be very careful here. So we're doing a trick here, which when you're in a cutscene, you can push the camera button to continue to be in that cutscene, but with a generally more helpful camera angle. So like I said, I'm going to be very careful here with the brakes. I'm just going to be concentrating for the short bit to make sure I don't screw this up. Okay, no, we derailed, unfortunately. We should be able to catch up still. We should still be able to catch up. It'll be very close though. It'll be very close. Oh crap, we lost the race. Okay. We're going to swap over quickly to the safety save, because that is a big shame. Normally we would have a chance to, redo that stage, because I feel like that's the one stage that can really go wrong, but we're going to quickly swap over to the safety stage. There were a bit of an allowance on the estimate for a failure on that stage, but unfortunately we lost that due to the weird self-propelled in the previous stage. So just for the sake of showing off the rest of the game, we're going to not go terribly over estimate. We're just going to load a save. Yeah, that's an actual real shame that we didn't get that. It was very close, and it was mostly just that last corner on that concentrating segment. I let the brakes on way too late, and I was trying to go fast, but then that ended up not happening. So this is the final stage. And the opponent here is pretty calm and calculated, so we're going to be shooting ahead of him from the very beginning. However, he will be catching up, and there is a very story-related break that we need to do. Otherwise, the race just becomes impossible. This was actually something we didn't know how to beat for the longest time, until one of us had to literally contact the developer and ask, hey, how do we actually beat this? So yeah, we're just going to be driving as fast as we can here to put as much distance between us and him at the beginning as we can. And so this is a very similar track to the first two tracks that we saw. So the layout hasn't changed much, if at all. So we're just looking up the same corners and such that causes difficulties as last time. Except this time, we don't need to worry about the other train just yet. He is still significantly far behind us. Although he will be catching up to us very shortly. Once again, for story-related reasons. Slowing down here for this corner. And so by not drifting here, we're actually skipping a few cutscenes, because the game does expect you to drift. So coming up to the next station, you need to do an emergency brake, otherwise the state you just can't win. Basically, as I mentioned previously, this enemy is really calm and calculating. So the way we do it is by letting him get ahead during the station by putting on our emergency brake. And as a result, puts him into like this kind of like, you know, berserking, like, you know, rage mode. So there we go, there's the emergency brake. And now he's going to pass us basically as soon as we leave the station. So now we have a chance of beating him. From here on out, this basic requires perfect execution. A single derail can kill this run. So we're going to focus on not doing that. So slowing down for this corner here. There we go. Yeah, so here is just going to be us, just like as I mentioned before, going as fast as we can, making sure there's as little distance between us and him as possible for when we get to the station. I think I might have been a bit heavy-handed on the brakes, but I should be fine. So just a little tap of the brake there, just to make sure we don't derail. So this is coming up to the station. Time will be coming up very shortly. Time is just when we enter the station itself. So this is the point where we're like, yeah, we can do it. And everyone's like, 7001, the 2000, who will win? So we do a trick here, the outwards drift. And everyone's like, what? How? So yeah, there we go. If you don't do that, you don't win the race, just full stop. And time. Whew.
27, either 38 or 39.
Yeah. Yeah, that's to be expected. So, as I mentioned, this was overall a pretty terrible run, unfortunately. I'm going to need to look into that self-propelled impossibility on the stage 2 corner, because I haven't seen that before, and I don't think I've seen anyone else get that before. So that's going to be a thing we need to investigate. The Shingo was just unfortunate, had a bit of an error at the end, where we had a single derail which cost us that. But aside from that, the first stage went well, and the fourth stage went well. But yeah, these are fun games. Go get them, play them, they're fun. More people need to know about drifting trains.